Greetings and salutations, travelers. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads, and as always, welcome back to our Around the Hearth discussions. It's time to finish out SleuthTember and our mystery intrigue type of chats with, I should say. Nothing could go wrong, right? Nothing could go wrong. That's what we want them to think. We want the players to feel that way. Let them feel like it's foolproof. But before we get into that, we need to do introductions and announcements. I am Adam L. Spain with the Inn of Planar Crossroads and the Gentle Voice Ministries. You can check us out at innofplanarcrossroads.com or theiopc.com. Either one of those works. And it's got our links here for where our videos are found. It's got our social media links, and it has our support links. There you go. You can check those out and be able to reach out to us at any of those. And then we also have Skrat from A Squirrel Plays.
That's me. That means my turn.
Yep.
Wow. Yep. Skrat from A Squirrel Plays over on YouTube, and I'm making the videos, all the videos. Mostly about that happy little overlap between story writing and TTRPGs and trying to navigate the differences between the two, as we have been exploring in the past couple episodes here. Things to do on one side and not do on the other. And when I'm lucky, I get to check out some TTRPGs. And let's see, what is this? The last one? So the end of September. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll have another TTRPG video out by then. Really wanting to do some streams where I take the community members' TTRPGs and try them out and give them a test run. Haven't talked to anybody about that yet. Don't know how they feel about exposing themselves that much, but it's not like I'm that big of a channel, so I don't think it'll be too bad.
He's worried about them exposing themselves when he has an Only Squirrels tab on his thing.
And a game called Nuts.
All right,
very consistent.
Well, we hope you check him out anyway. He says he makes videos about, that overlap between and not so overlap between storytelling and TTRPGs. I think he just makes videos about squirrels, because that's everything I see in his thumbnails.
It's true. He's got me. I have been exposed. Oh no.
Well, before any more exposure happens, we better get on to our actual shout out, which is Levi's shout out is Crackminis. He is at about not quite 2,000. He's a little less than 2,000. We want to try and bump him up to 2,000 subs, so go over and check him out. He does Warhammer scratch building and Kit Bash type of stuff. So there you go. And he does pretty good on his paint jobs too. So check that out. Yeah. All right. That's what I've got. And I guess, is there anything else you need to go over, Scrap, before we jump into the chat? No. Kind of did my little sales pitch. So, community's open. If you're working on your own TTRPG and want to share it, get some feedback, or any other creative endeavor. There you go.
We mostly do TTRPGs.
All right. Well, that means it's time to grab your preferred beverage and pull up a chair around the hearth to join us as we discuss Nothing Could Go Wrong. Oh. All right. Ooh. We're even more noir now.
Yeah, it's getting darker and rainier.
But the squirrel looks so much younger.
He does.
He's just a young squirrel against the world.
Yeah. There you go.
They call him Babyface Malone. That's what it is. All right. He's trying to get out of the nut racket in Chicago. every time he tries to get out, he just pulls him back in. So.
Every time.
All right. We better move on from organized crime and stuff like that, unless it's part of Skrat's discussion about Invisible Touch, because that's what we're going over. It is the Genesis song from the 80s, from 1986. First title track and first single of the 1986 Genesis album of the same name. So there you go. I've been wanting to use this one for a while because it's just very rich for what to do with stuff. We went over some adventure starting ideas and character, kind of what this character is that has this invisible touch and stuff like that last time, but we'll probably touch some more on it this time. Before we jump in, let's get some of our key points from our previous chats brought forward so that we can use them in this discussion. So, in media res is an okay way to establish if you're dealing with a mystery and something has come up and you're trying to deal with it in this present time. You can do that flashback. That's basically what in media res is you started in one point in the future and you're flashing backward to the things that happened to get you there. And it can be helpful if you're needing to reestablish some things on when things started, or if you have a place you know that the characters have to get to and you're confident they'll get there without too much trouble. You can set that up. Hidden roles can keep the suspense up and kind of keep them guessing on what they actually know and what they don't know. And it will make your players be more willing to change their mind and be more like their characters. It does help them have that buy-in on the mystery because they don't know. They're not sure that they know. They don't know how high the roll was. So that can add some of that tension. And then use timelines. This was one that Skrat brought up, and I had meant to bring it up too, was the idea of using timelines on things. So if it's a murder mystery, then the murder has happened and so many either hours or days, these things are happening in the timeline that your players are going to be involved in. And that will determine whether they find the person or the person gets away and stuff like that. So there you go. Use those timelines to your advantage and keep the pressure on the players to keep them moving and going. All right. So that's what we got. Let's see. Did you want to start off this one, Skrat, or me?
Yeah, no, I can, I'll start it off because I don't have too much on this one. Since it's about the characters, right? That's what we're getting into. So, last bundle of episodes we did, characters what I was super focused on. Because last session we did was the Lovecraftian kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Spooky monsters. Yeah, okay. I was super into the characters on that one. This one's the other way around. It was more so the adventure. So I had talked about that lady getting control of their minds, taking over the people, and then the players can actually have some encounters in the mental state, in the, call it the dream plane, but not really. You wouldn't be dreaming, right? It's just in your head.
The astral plane.
Yeah, that'd make more sense. I thought it'd be really neat. You let the characters. I don't have anything predetermined like I did with the other ones. Like they were all the detectives that got turned into monsters or whatever. So it's like this one is like, no, you can bring whatever you want to the table, but let them be just as vulnerable to that mental attack as the people she's already been kidnapping and taking. So players could lose their characters, and then because you remember they're trying to figure out who's responsible for this, so they'd be getting attacked by her mentally, but they wouldn't even know who it is at first. So when they finally get to the end and are having the big confrontation with her, maybe they would go to the astral plane. But I thought it would be super cool. All the characters they lost were there and they would have to go against them. So if you give them more free reign to be as unique as they want, and then they will go against that if they lost them. It would kind of suck if you set all that up and nobody died.
That's true.
It's like, well, gee, guys, I had this really cool encounter, but you didn't die.
Good golly gosh, guys.
So, that was my approach. Give them, and I had also mentioned that I didn't have a setting in mind. Like, you could have done some fantasy. You could have had. I think I was imagining kind of a retro setting when I was doing this, but like you could do it modern, future, retro, wherever you wanted to do, but give them the party the freedom to be who and what they wanted within reason. Like, but you wouldn't have to bottle them or shoehorn them into it. Like, nope, you got to be detectives or you got to be on the police force. You got to, they could be. It could have been a not a victim. What do you call that? Like, say your spouse got taken away by this lady. I guess you'd be a victim of that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd still be.
That? Yeah. Okay. So that could be their investment in the story. They're like, no, my spouse is disappearing, so I want to help investigate this. And somebody could be a detective, and somebody could just be a do-gooder. I don't know. You give them that freedom.
Well,
then they get to fight them at the end.
And you're talking about this as things are happening in their mind, and it started making me think there's this invisible touch. It's deadly, kills you from the inside out type of thing. So you're proposing a kind of Nightmare on Elm Street type of situation. Could do you play a whole bunch of teenagers, kids on bikes.
It's good. That's in the dreams though. Like, this is, she can just walk by you and do the thing.
Right. Well, what I'm more meaning is that it's dreams happen in the astral plane too. That's the idea. If you're embracing the astral plane idea for your setting, then dreams happen in the mental scape, but so does thought and stuff. So all that happens in the astral plane. So you can do it where, like, your players, the PCs may have one set of stats while they're just doing their stuff at home, they're just normies, but either they may be intellectually, mentally, something special. And when they're dreaming or when they're envisioning those things or thinking or they're fighting against that mental control that she has, they're able to resist, and that's what sets them apart and makes them able to help the others or save other people and stuff like that. So you could do that type of you could set that up in the characters actually building them, is what I'm meaning. And make it part of the actual story setting. So that they don't just get reached into and she tears them apart type of thing. And it would also allow them, I guess you might be able to do something. I read a book one time. I don't know what it is. I can't remember. I think it was The White Stag or something. And it was, the main character was what was called a sink. And he was called a sink because magic stopped around him. So it didn't matter how powerful the magic was or anything, it would just stop around him. So you had this high magic society where they had fixed all of their houses up with magic to make him clean and all of that type of thing, but whenever he was around, everything reverted back to what it was supposed to be. So this clean room became dirty because he was in it. Because the magic was what was making it clean. And the house became in disrepair because that part of the house became in disrepair because he was in it. And so you might be able to do something like that with your PCs, to where they're a sync to that power that this person is giving off. And maybe if you want to go the paranormal detective angle, maybe that's why they were chosen, why they're part of a bureau of paranormal investigation or something like that.
Wasn't there a mutant from X-Men that did that?
Neutralize the powers of others? Yes.
If they just got close to him, they just couldn't do anything. Is that what I'm thinking of?
He could neutralize their powers. He's in the second one, I think. And the second X-Men movie, so X2, I guess is what it is.
What was it? Did he actively have to do? I was thinking there's one that he just existed and they couldn't. It may not have been X-Men, but there was something where this person had this unfortunate power and people couldn't get close to him without losing their ability. Whether
Right.
that was mutants or the Force or something.
I think that may be how it is in the comics. I don't know that that's how it was in the movies. Because in the movies, they were using his cerebral spinal fluid to make a cure for it made a cure for the mutant power, but it also took away you could use it to mind control people too. So.
I'm not sure what I'm thinking of then.
It probably is the way you're talking about in the comics, though. Because they combine characters in the movies and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, I haven't read the comic, so I wouldn't have known. So I'm not sure what I'm thinking of.
Well,
I was thinking it was one of the later movies, not the second one. Who knows? I know in the Wolverine one, what's his name? Xavier. When he was losing it, he was using his power too much and they couldn't get close to him, but that's a bit different.
Yeah. The Logan movie.
Yeah, that's right, Logan, not Wolverine. Wolverine was actually a different movie, and it was terrible.
I have seen worse movies, so
Yes.
I'm just saying.
I liked Logan though. That was pretty good.
It's a Western.
It had its moment. Yeah, it really is. That was one of those ones. It's like, okay, may not have been the best ride, but it's over. We ended it. This is a good way to close it out. And they kind of opened the door for the whole X-Men concept to keep going, but with like totally different characters. Like fresh start, clean slate. Do it the way you want instead of rehashing the comics for the 50th time.
Yep. Okay. So, onto this. We've got that idea you were going with. The one I had for the that I had for a character specific thing is that in verse 2 it says, I don't really know her. I only know her name. But when she crawls under your skin, you're never quite the same. And now I know she's got something that you just can't trust. It's something mysterious. And now it seems I'm falling for her. So I think it would be interesting. It can happen for all the characters, but it would be also interesting if it happened to only a few or just one that she takes a particular interest in. Or maybe it's because she took a particular interest in these characters that they have this game being played with them. Because that's what it talks about, her thinking of it as a game. So she's the invisible touch. She's this thing. And you could make it where she's a straight out, I think they're called nightmares or something like that from, I think it was from the Pathfinder bestiary. This entity that lives in the astral plane, that lives in dreams, that lives in the mental space. And it manifests in, like with her, she could be actually taking over the body of people. She could be just a mind that's taking over the body of other people. Because it says when she gets under your skin, that you're never quite the same. And though she will mess up your life, you'll want her just the same. And now I know she's got the built-in ability, etc., etc. And this invisible touch slowly tears you apart. And it talks about grabs right hold of your heart. So you could make it where that's the signature of this particular, if we're going for the serial killer angle, you could do that, where it's the magical type of thing, and she's a mind that's constantly jumping back and forth. There was a movie, Denzel Washington movie. Hold on, I'll look it up. Where this demon was jumping back and forth. Fallen. That's what it is. It's called Fallen. And it's a 1998 supernatural thriller. That might actually be a really good one to look at if you're wanting to do this type of thing. Denzel Washington investigating occult murders committed by an apparent copycat killer of the person that's already been executed, or something like that. But they're doing it all the same. And oh man, it actually is really good for this, because what the thing uses to transfer is touch. It's perfect.
Hey.
It's perfect for this. So this thing, this entity, uses touch to transfer. And I don't know that it has to, but that's what it does. And it bounces between bodies. It's a spirit. It's a demon or something like that. And it bounces between bodies. And it actually starts in media res. I can't... Why am I did I? I got a bunch of stuff in my head I didn't even realize was influencing me. So it starts in media res at the end when the thing's about to die or something. And it flashes back. He says, I want you to know how someone... I'm taking you to a place and tell you how someone almost killed me. And it flashes backward. That's how this whole thing started. So yeah, check out that movie. It's great for setting this up. As far as a paranormal investigation. So now you and Bree got something to watch. Glee. You and Glee got something to watch.
What is it called? Fallen?
Fallen by... Fallen, and has Denzel Washington in it.
Yeah, I like his stuff. I've not heard of that one. I don't think.
It's pretty good. As far as a thriller. Because that's what this particular one is. It's a mystery thriller. So.
Well, there you go. Now I have homework. How dare.
Yeah. At least you'll enjoy this homework. Alright. But that's what I'm thinking. Something that jumps across bodies might be working well for that supernatural angle. If you don't want to do the supernatural angle, and you still want to keep with that serial killer, but is really good at blending in, is able to get under your skin. I like the Hannibal Lecter idea. I like also the blending in with a bunch of people kind of idea, and just being able to do that and get what she wants. She always gets what she's looking at, take everything she sees. So that covetous attitude, but one that she hides underneath everything. And making it someone close to the players, the PCs, I should say. Someone close to the PCs would be really smart if it can be pulled off. So. Alright, that's what I've got as far as my idea on character breakdown. Mainly it was that idea of having somebody in the party be affected, if not more than one person, be affected by this. And it is something you have to, if you do that kind of fallen route where that entity actually takes control of people, you might have to be a bit careful, because players don't like to have their PCs taken away from them. They don't like to lose their agency. You might be able to do something if you blend in. A way to handle that might be to do something when you blending in Skrat's idea of the astral plane, and perhaps when they lose consciousness, that's when the entity can take over that body. So that might be an option. So they have to try and stay awake in shifts or something like that to watch each other once they figure it out. So that might work.
You never know. You never run a game and come tell us how it went.
Yeah. All right, Skrat. We are at 26, which means we will finish about on time if we start in on final thoughts. Skrat's final questions.
Well, I got bad news for you, cuz.
Oh?
I got nothing for this.
Okay. I done wore out your question. Okay.
My squirrel brain.
So, here's the comment for the thing. Finally, no more questions.
Oh.
So there you go. We're gonna roast Skrat for not having anything for final thoughts.
Look, man. I got 3 out of 4.
That's right. His little noir squirrels just puffs a little bit of a, I don't know. It eats a little bit of a nut, and it says, 3 out of 4 ain't bad in this line of work.
Exactly.
So there you go. I guess I'll start us off, and if Skrat thinks of something, then you can do it. We talked about, not this last time, but the time before, I believe, in our globetrotting gumshoes, about the time periods that are best. If you're going to go with something like this that we're talking about, I think this one actually fits really good in the 80s. It fits really good in the 80s, kind of pre-millennial stuff. It can do early millennia. But some of the charm, I think, of this concept exists around that uncertainty that you would have for people living outside of where they are right now. Because we get used to things really fast. So if you take away cell phones and stuff, you can automatically set people off on their footing. So that is one of the advantages to doing mysteries and other things outside of the current time that you live in. So I would recommend doing that for this particular one. It can be pulled off in our particular setting, especially if you want to make them uneasy by making those things not work correctly around this creature or thing. But I do like this in a 90s, 80s, 70s might work setting. At least that's my recommendation. My final thought. All right. Anything from you, Skrat, regarding questions, comments, observations?
I was looking back over the other notes, and one I ended up not using, but I guess I can. And since you had brought up players not always liking having their characters taken away from them when death comes a knocking, too many red herrings can be super frustrating.
Yep.
I think that I don't think that was in that article we've been throwing around each episode, but I read that somewhere. It was just a quick, don't give your player too many red herrings. And I was like, yeah, I can. I feel like I've run some sessions, they weren't mystery things, but just, players trying to figure out stuff, and they hit one too many dead ends, and you could see the frustration growing. Whereas there was, Hollywood, it was one of our episodes, right, when we were talking about the books give you when you're writing, you know, every line's important, yada yada, everything's important. Whereas when we talked about the players going down the wrong, interrogating the wrong person and stuff, like some failure is good, right? Like that, having the ability to do something wrong can make the game more interesting, but too many wrong things it can be a bit of a stinker.
Right. And there's a temptation, I think, to blend into your point. There's a temptation on the GM side to switch around and say, well, this person actually did do it because of this, and I'll just switch around. And in a mystery, in a regular game, when you've got an enemy and you're trying to say that he went this way, but the characters keep going down the other way, and you're like, all right, well, he went down that way then. And you eventually let them catch up and stuff, because the story will just, like, they'll just not do the story if they don't. I don't think that's particularly egregious in a mystery, because part of the fun of the mystery is figuring it out. That's why we like mysteries. We like puzzles so that we can solve them. We don't put a puzzle out and not try to solve it. We put a puzzle out to solve it. That's the point of the puzzle. So don't take it. Don't be lackadaisical with your strictness on the way they need to figure this out. Give them 3 clues when they're looking for clues that they could find, and then the next time they're looking for clues, there's 3 options that they could find and stuff like that, or to guide them, to have breadcrumbs, but let them figure it out. And I think this is one of the reasons, like we've been talking about, of using hidden roles is even better than using open roles in a mystery game. Because imagine 2 situations. You've got a red herring. You've got a red herring, and the person rolls and they get a really bad roll. And now they suspect that this person is a red herring. But they can't act that way. Their player character now has to act as if they think that this character did it, even though the player knows that this was a bad roll. And I think this is one of those moments, and this is one of those times where I'd be kind of encouraging players, and that includes the GM, to go ahead and do those hidden rolls. Only the GM knows the rolls. That way, when they figure out that this is a red herring, they figured out it's a red herring. They didn't just roll bad and then have to waste time going down this road. It's no longer wasted time if they figure it out. Or it's less wasted time, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I was surprised I didn't think of it earlier in any of these. While character consistency is obviously important, every storytelling thing, I feel like it's probably running one of these games, it would be incredibly important, especially with your killer or whatever they're doing, right?
Right.
They need to be very consistent with their behavior and motives, right? They can't just flip-flop. Like, you made me think of it when you were just talking earlier about kind of having, I hit my microphone, having that temptation to change something real quick, spur of the moment. So that can make trying to solve something very difficult if a person just has this weird change all of a sudden.
Right.
It's not in line with everything else they've been doing.
Yeah.
And that, depending on how many characters you got going on, that can be very hard to juggle and remember everything.
Well, I've seen some adventure paths try that. I think one of the Call of Cthulhu ones that Skorkowski looked at was kind of geared that way, where you could make any of the 4 people or something like that the one that actually did the murder, because everybody wanted to kill him. type of situation. And that's not as bad, because if everybody wants to kill him and somebody actually does, that doesn't feel quite as railroady. But you do have to be careful that you don't, like you're talking about, paint yourself into a corner where this person actually has an alibi, and then they start to try and break down the alibi, and well, now you've got to figure out how to break down that alibi, even though that alibi is supposed to be strong or something like that. So it is one of those problem situations. Again, I think that hidden roles can really actually help with that feeling of being let down by following a red herring, especially when you should have more than one person presenting ideas of who might have done it. Because if you have hidden roles, someone says, I think they did it. Well, now they have to convince the other players on why they think that. Not just the other characters have to be convinced, but the other players might need convincing on why they think they did that. And they might get talked out of it. They might be like, well, no, that was probably a bad roll. I'm probably wrong. Or, something along that line. So it opens up a lot of dialogue that you wouldn't get otherwise. And mysteries really benefit from having dialogue between players and dialogue between characters happen. Okay, that seems sufficient for final thoughts, unless you've got something you really got to get out there before we sign off.
I think I'd be terrible at running a mystery game. I wouldn't be able to remember everything.
You just got to remember. The good thing for you as the GM is you can write it all down.
That's true. That's true.
All right. So that's Skrat's final tipsy. Write it all down before you start.
Final worry.
All right. Well, we appreciate you stopping by and enjoying this time with us here at the Inn of Planar Crossroads. You can check us out at innofplanarcrossroads.com or theiopc.com, and either one of those works. We have YouTube, Rumble, and BitChute links there for you if you want to check our content out further, or keep up with us on Twitter, which is X now, Instagram, or Facebook, and support us with PayPal, Local, Subscribestar, or Patreon. We have that also. I don't think there's anything else I've got. Skrat from A Squirrel Plays is with us each time now, and he's over here on the YouTubes, getting his nuts out there, showing them to everybody. So,
Showing the world
his nuts.
Did we get a comment for this one?
Yeah, it was finally no more questions.
That's right.
We're roasting. Well, wait, if someone reviews your TTRPG and they don't like it, does that mean they're roasting your nuts?
Yeah.
Oh, no. We better finish up before we get to any more dad jokes out of this. Do check out Crackminis and tell him that Inn of Planar Crossroads sent you, and we're trying to get him up to 2,000. So there we go. As always, have a great day. God bless and enjoy. Bye.
This content was made possible by travelers and viewers like you. Thank you.